Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and on this video I am going to give you my match reaction for the Derby Manchester United game that ended Derby County 0, Manchester United 3 yesterday night in the FA Cup. It is now the 6th season on the trot that Manchester United have progressed to the quarter-finals of the competition. And, we are starting to see glimpses of how good, Manchester United can really be, because we are now unbeaten in 9 games in all competitions. And I do believe this is our best run since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager. And also to take into account, we've kept a lot of clean sheets recently. But, it was a very, very good performance by Manchester United yesterday. Of course, as we all expected, Wayne Rooney got a really good reception from our fans. Of course, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was coming out prior to the game, praising Wayne Rooney. Obviously, Solskjaer did say that Wayne Rooney can become a future manager at Manchester United. Actually, Wayne Rooney was unlucky not to score, right at the end from that free kick. Sergio Romero pulled a very good save off. I think Wayne Rooney also had an opportunity, was it in the first half, and also another free kick. So he did have 2 fantastic chances, did Wayne Rooney, to score against us. But like Solskjaer said, Wayne Rooney will always be a legend at the club. Obviously, Wayne Rooney endured 13 years at Manchester United, so he was a long-serving player. And of course, he's our all-time leading goal scorer with 253 goals in all competitions. Of course, Wayne Rooney won multiple Premier Leagues with the club. He won the Champions League, he won the FA Cups, he won League Cups with us, and he was just absolutely sensational. So yes, he is the player-manager of Derby. Obviously, it's good for him that, because, it will gain him more experience, of course, because maybe he'll consider, going on into management in the future, fully will Wayne Rooney in that. So yeah, so let's now delve into the goals. So the first goal for us came from Luke Shaw, surprisingly. He seldom scores, does Luke Shaw. Now, that's his second goal for Manchester United in like 197 appearances he's made for the football club. Actually, Luke Shaw's volley that bounced into the net, it came off the back of Jesse Lingard. But, the goal, I think, has been given to Luke Shaw. Now, for Luke Shaw, to be fair, had a really, really good game. He also got an assist in the game, did Luke Shaw, so he didn't only score. I thought, Luke Shaw showed good attacking intent. His defensive contribution was very, very good. He won the first balls, he won the second balls, and he was just absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, he had been given the man of the match at Luke Shaw. Now, like Rio Ferdinand was saying after the game, because he was talking a lot about Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw now, he's been a long-serving player at Man United. He's now into his 6th season at the football club. We got Luke Shaw back in 2014 from, Southampton. Didn't we pay around £30 million to him? And, Luke Shaw's had quite a few bad spells during his tenure with Manchester United. Obviously, with the amount of injuries he's had, because he's injury prone, also with his poor form. But I think, recently, Luke Shaw has really rejuvenated himself. And of course, he is highly experienced. On the other hand, I think Brandon Williams has also done really, really well. But obviously, Brandon Williams is still inexperienced because this is his first season in the senior squad. But I've got to say, I've been very, very impressed with Luke Shaw. And, don't forget, he also had bad disputes with Jose Mourinho, so he endured a difficult time under Jose Mourinho. But Luke Shaw last season, won the double player of the season, reflecting on his good run of performances. I think he was out for like 2 months, was it, earlier on in the season. But taking into account, had a really, really good game yesterday against Derby. Odi Nagalo had scored the other 2 goals. That's Odi Nagalo's 3rd goal for Manchester United in just 2 starts. And, took both his goals really, really well, did Odi Nagalo. I'm very, very delighted with Odi Nagalo. Some people are saying, he should start against Manchester City on Sunday. Like Solskjaer was recently saying regarding Odi Nagalo, he's a different type of striker. Probably his movement isn't the same as, same as like Martial's or Rashford's. But, I just think, he's a good cover-up for Marcus Rashford. And he is the vocal point, is Odi Nagalo. Now, I think, if Manchester United do decide to make Odi Nagalo's deal transfer permanent, then I think, that's the right decision by Manchester United, because I was reading reports yesterday and it did say that Solskjaer had made an admission that, he could decide to make Odi Nagalo's transfer permanent. This is what it basically said, because we've got him on loan. It's a 6-month loan until the end of the season. Of course, Manchester United are paying like a third of his wages. But, Odi Nagalo is a very, very good player. He can hold up the play well. He can bring other players into play. So he is a different type of striker. So it was good to see him get a brace, Odi Nagalo. Like I mentioned, it's his third goal for the club. He also did score against Club Bruges, did Odi Nagalo. So I am, really, really delighted about that. He's, 30 years of age. Odi Nagalo, though, did enjoy 3 good years with Watford. So take that into account. So it was good to see Odi Nagalo get 2 goals. So, he played really, really well, did Odi Nagalo. There was also some other players that played really, really well in the game. I thought Diego Dalot had a good game for us. His composure was very, very good. He showed good attacking intent, did a lot. So I thought both fullbacks did very, very well. Lindelof did very, very well at the back. I thought Bay did well at the back. I think Juan Mata and Bruno Fernandes are on the same wavelength. They also did really, really well. And Bruno Fernandes has enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Of course, 3 goals already for him. Also has provided 2 assists as Bruno Fernandes. And like I mentioned, he's making the difference in the team. And Solskjaer has been urged to build a team around Bruno Fernandes. Very, very good player, very instrumental. His decision making is very, very good. And, he is starting to replicate, what he did, in his 2.5 years when he was at Sporting Lisbon. And Bruno Fernandes just makes things happen. And you've probably got to say he's the best signing, we've had. Probably, since the Alex Ferguson era is Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, had another good game with Bruno Fernandes, even though he didn't score. McTominay, Fred, I thought they did well. They complemented each other well in our midfield. I think Fred is, flourishing as a Manchester United player. Has recently rejuvenated himself as Fred. And like I'm took into account before, I think Fred, was very, very good in Ukraine. Obviously, to be fair, Fred never really got the opportunity under Jose Mourinho. But since Solskjaer came in, Fred has actually, done really, really well for Manchester United, and he's getting better. Same perception on McTominay. He's also doing really, really well for us. McTominay's just recently come back from injury. So there was a lot of good performers, yesterday against Derby. Wasn't so good in the first 5 to 10 minutes, there was no real cutting edge. The game did lack quality, but I think, after the 10-minute mark, we found some momentum, we basically, took control of the game. At the start of the second half, Watford, did have some chances. I think Waghorn had a few, Marriott came on and he had a couple of chances. But prior to that, Derby didn't really impose a threat. We brought some substitutions on in the game. Of course, Andres Pereira came on for Bruno Fernandes. Andres Pereira came on for Bruno Fernandes. Martial came on for Fred. He was a second sub. And Brandon Williams came on for Luke Shaw. So there were the 3 substitutions that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had brought on. Jesse Lingard, by the way, did start the game yesterday. Surprisingly, I thought it was another average performance by Jesse Lingard. And I've got a lot of element of concerns about Lingard. I've also got a lot of element of concerns about Andres Pereira. Solskjaer has showed a ruthless streak warning to Jesse Lingard and Andres Pereira, but I do believe they are going to be 2 players that are going to be leaving Manchester United this summer. Definitely in that. So very, very good for Man United. We progress into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. We do play Norwich away. So I probably am going to say now we are into the semi-finals of the competition. And, the FA Cup is a priority for us because, take into account, it's a chance of getting some silverware on the board this season. It is a chance of getting some silverware on the board this season. because obviously, we haven't won out in terms of silverware yet under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So yeah, there's a chance we can win the FA Cup. We have obviously, won it 12 times. We are the second most successful team in FA Cup history, just behind Arsenal. They've won 13. And we haven't won the FA Cup since 2015. Take into account as well, the Europa League is a priority for us, because we are into the last 16 of that. We've got last coming up. And plus, the Europa League's another route to Champions League football. So what a season it would be if we could win the FA Cup and we could win the Europa League, and that would obviously mean then we'd get automatic qualification for the Champions League. What a season that would be if, Manchester United could win 2 trophies. But, there's still some good teams in the FA Cup. Let's not, take that away. You've got City that are in the quarter final. They go away to Newcastle. Chelsea in the quarter final. Arsenal are in the quarter final. So there's still some good teams in the competition, definitely. By the way, so yesterday Solskjaer had made around 6 changes from the 1-1 draw with Everton. 6 changes were made. There was no Harry Maguire in the team because it did confirm prior to the game that Harry Maguire was out with an ankle injury. There has been reports saying that Maguire could be a doubt for the Manchester City game. But I think, he should be all right for the Manchester City game, should Harry Maguire. Don't forget, he had an injury early on in the season, did Harry Maguire for Man United. So I think, he should be, fine. So he wasn't involved in the game yesterday. Of course, Wan-Bissaka's got a back problem. Do you think he'll be back for Manchester City? I think he sustained this back problem in our 1-1 draw with Everton. I don't think Wan-Bissaka would have played anyway if he'd have been fully fit. So he was out with back problem. Daniel James has missed the last 2 games now because he's also been injured as Daniel James. I think our only long-term absentees now is Lee Grant and Marcus Rashford. Of course, as you all know, Marcus Rashford is out with a back injury. We're hopeful that, he can be back before the end of the season, but he could be out for the rest of the season. But I do believe Rashford will be fit for the European Championships this year. And like I mentioned, Rashford has been one of our best players this season. Fosu-Mensah and Tuanzebe weren't involved in the game yesterday, surprisingly, because I thought, they would have played some parts of the game. Obviously, I think they are now back from injury because Fosu-Mensah and Tuanzebe were playing for the under-23s on Monday. Like I mentioned, Bay's just come back. I think Pogba is stepping up his fitness regime. He's now close to returning from injury for Manchester United. Like Solskjaer confirmed, Pogba is working with the physios, and he's going to return to training by next week. So that's very, very good news. Is there still a possibility chance that Pogba could stay at the football club and he could extend his contract with Manchester United. I know there's been a lot of narratives in the media, saying that he's likely to leave this summer. Obviously, a couple of weeks ago, his agent Mini Raiola was talking, and Pogba had told his teammates that he did want to leave Manchester United. I think we can afford to let him go because looking at it from a financial point of view will generate a lot of money from his departure. Plus, it'll free up our wage bill a little bit. And I think even when Paul Pogba does come back, he may find it hard to get in the team on a regular basis. I think for him to get in the team on a regular basis, we've either got to drop Fred, McTominay or Matic. And, they've all done really, really well recently, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, so Pogba should be back for the Tottenham game. And, now Manchester United have got games coming up thick and fast. So obviously we'll be making a lot of rotation. Obviously, City on Sunday at Old Trafford, in the last 16 of the Europa League first leg. Then we've got Tottenham coming up. So games are coming up thick and fast for Manchester United and that. But Solskjaer was very, very delighted with the result yesterday. Very, very delighted, He says if he thinks the result was better than the performance. Obviously, he's praised Odi and Igalo. And yeah, very, very delighted with the result. I really, really am. And, like I mentioned, last season we enjoyed a really, really good cup run because, we beat Reading in the third round last season, we beat Arsenal in the fourth round, and we beat Chelsea, was it, in the fifth round. So we enjoyed a good cup run last season. And we haven't even yet conceded it in the FA Cup. This season, we haven't conceded one because we're beating Wolves 1-0 in the third round in the replay. We're beating Tranmere 6-0 in the fourth round. And, of course, we're beating Derby in the fifth round by 3-0. And I'm very, very convinced that Manchester United will beat Norwich. Yes. And yeah, so it's going to be a very, very big game for us on Sunday, going up against Manchester City. At Old Trafford, obviously Solskjaer will make changes from the 3-0 win against Derby yesterday. Now, City is going to be a very, very tough game. Of course, City, did beat Sheffield on Wednesday, yes they did, to progress into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. So City can win the FA Cup. They've already won the Carabao Cup this season. Man City, they beat Villa 2-1. So, City have won the Carabao Cup now for the third season on the trot. I do actually fancy Manchester City for the Champions League, surprisingly. I know they haven't got a good pedigree in the Champions League, but I think, they can win it, can Manchester City. That's the only trophy they haven't won so far in their history, but they've won everything else of Manchester City. Obviously they had that historic win against Real Madrid the other week, because that was the first time they'd ever beaten Real Madrid in the Champions League. They'd beaten them 2-1 at the Santiago Bernabeu. So they've got 2 away goals, and now City, soon play them at the Etihad. And obviously, Real Madrid need to score 3 times and keep City out for Madrid, to go through to the last day of the competition. So I think City are going to go through to the last day, definitely. City haven't been nowhere near as good this season in the league, as what they have been in the last 2 seasons. I think this season City have lost as many games than they have done in the last 2 seasons combined. City, of course, are sitting 22 points behind Liverpool. City, obviously, will finish second this season. But, last season, City won the league by a point. The season before, City registered 100 points. And, City were looking to win their third title on the trot this season. So they was basically looking to replicate what my club did back in 2007, 2008 and 2009. Because, we're the last team to win 3 titles on the trot. But obviously, City are not going to do it this season because Liverpool are going to win the league. Because Liverpool are going to win the league. But they did win as well. Don't forget the domestic treble last season did City. So they replicated what my club did back in 1999. Which is obviously, one of my club's greatest achievements, 1999. And there's some positivity, from our perspective because City have got Kevin De Bruyne out with injury. He came off injured in the Sheffield Wednesday game. Don't know what type of injury it is, but I think it's a back injury, is it, if I'm right? Kevin De Bruyne has now got an injury. He's a doubt for the Man City game is Kevin De Bruyne, so I am very, very delighted about that. Also, too, Leroy Sané is out injured. I think he came off injured in City's 2-1 win against Real Madrid, did Laporte, and he's a very, very good centre-half, is Laporte. And, so I think it did say he could be out for up to a month. I do believe Leroy Sané is still out with injury. Mendy recently just come back. I think Raheem Sterling's just come back because Sterling was out for around 3 weeks with injury. Now, we're looking to do the double over Man City in the league this season. Because we've played them in total 3 times so far this season. And we've beaten them twice. So Solskjaer, has overcome Pep Guardiola twice. We're beating them 2-1 at the Etihad earlier on in the season in the league. We're beating them 1-0 in the Carabao Cup semi-finals, second leg, even though it wasn't enough to progress to the, even though it wasn't enough to progress through. But, we still did win the game by 1-0. And actually, as you do remember rightly, Nemanja Matic had been sent off in that game. The fixture at Old Trafford last season was 2-0 to Manchester City. So I think, we can beat City on the day. We can do it. We can beat them on the day, Manchester City. We usually go with the counter-attack, don't we? But, we will see what happens. Of course, Manchester City, as you all know, are banned from the Champions League for the next 2 seasons. Obviously they've thrown a lot of money at the appeal. So City will be hopeful that this, ban, can be overturned because they want to participate in the Champions League, don't they, for the next 2 seasons. Pep Guardiola has won the Champions League as manager. He won it as Barcelona manager, but he wants to win it at Man City. Guardiola now is into his 4th season at Man City, and he's won, of course, 8 major honours with them. And I think he probably, will still be at Manchester City, going on into next season. City have won a total of 4 Premier Leagues, haven't they? They've won 2 under Guardiola, they won 1 under Manuel Pellegrini, and I think they won 1 under Roberto Mancini, did Man City. But yeah, I think we're definitely capable of beating them. We need to beat City anywhere because obviously, we do want to keep our top 4 ambitions alive. We are only 3 points behind top 4 now. And, there's quite a few teams in that top 4 race. So realistically, we should be in that top 4 because we've had so many opportunities this season, to get into that top 4, when Chelsea have dropped points. But we're only 3 points behind. Obviously, 5th place is a Champions League spot at the moment, but I'd like Manchester United to finish 4th because, we do need qualification for the Champions League. The main explanation for this is so, we'll generate more money and it'll make us have more of a competitive summer transfer window, if we can get Champions League qualification. To be quite honest with you. But yeah, like I mentioned, your City Man United preview will be coming up. It should be later on today, by the way, because I think it is Sunday, 4:30 kickoff. So Solskjaer is looking to beat City. He's looking to beat City for the 3rd time as manager. Yes, he is. Yeah. So yeah, it was a very, very good performance against Derby. Now we do move on to the Manchester City game. Obviously, I've been keeping you up to date, with the news regarding David De Gea and all of that. Obviously, I think there's been people talking about David De Gea. Don't forget, Roy Keane recently came out and criticised David De Gea. He came out and criticised David De Gea, did Roy Keane. Obviously, he's still our number 1 goalkeeper. He's been our number 1 goalkeeper for, a while, obviously. Romero's starting to prove a point, though. Did very, very well yesterday against Ab, but Romero tends to play in the cup games. Romero is our 2nd choice goalkeeper. Obviously, people are starting to believe that David De Gea could lose his place in the team when Dean Henderson does come back from his loan spell with Sheffield United. And I think the club made the right decision by putting Dean Henderson out on loan because obviously, it's gained Dean Henderson more experience, with him being out on loan. I think his 2nd loan spell now, by the way, is Dean Henderson's. His stats now are actually no better than David De Gea's. So should Dean Henderson become our number 1 goalkeeper now? De Gea's been a long servant. De Gea's now into his 9th season at Man United. He's enjoyed 8 years here. I think he's had a good 6.5 years, but at least in the last year and a half or so, he has become a liability, let's be honest, as David De Gea. But, I admire him because he's had a really, really good career with the club. Struggled in his 1st season, but I think prior to that, mainly, he's had a really, really good career. He's won everything here domestically. He's won the club's Player of the Year, 4 times out of the last 6 seasons, reflecting on his good run of performances and made just over 300 appearances in the Premier League and nearly 400 appearances in all competitions as David De Gea. Now, obviously, Real Madrid have been long admirers of him. Don't forget, Madrid were close to getting him back in 2015. But due to the fax machine on deadline day, the deal never materialised. PSG and Real Madrid have also been in for David De Gea. Some United fans will keep him as number 1, and some United fans will put Dean Henderson as our number 1 goalkeeper when, of course, he does return. Definitely in that. And, I think, we have got a lot of good players. We have got a lot of good players in our team. We have had a lot of injuries this season, but, that's not excusable for how inconsistent we have been. But we are in a good run of form now. We're 9 games unbeaten in all competitions. So we are in a good vein of form at the moment. But I think, there's players that have also improved under Solskjaer. Shaw's improved. Fernandes has done well. Fred's really improved. Matic has recently improved. He wasn't playing yesterday, by the way. James hasn't been so good in the last month or so. From my own perception, I think Solskjaer's been overplaying him, to be quite honest with you. I think Odi Nagalo's done well since he's come in. Lindelof's done well alongside Maguire at the back. From my perception now, I'd probably, drop Lindelof and, play Bay more alongside Harry Maguire, because Bay is a very, very good centre-half, let's be honest. So a lot of players have improved under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, definitely. And, a lot of money's been spent at Manchester United, in the last 6 or 7 years. We spent, what, £220 million since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in. And Solskjaer so far has enjoyed 3 transfer windows as Manchester United manager. Yeah, he spent around 220 million. He brought James, Bissaka, Harry Maguire in, Fernandes and Odi Nagalo. Under Jose Mourinho, we spent around £400 million on 11 players. The vast majority of these players are Jose Mourinho's. Of course, we spent 250 odd million under Van Gaal. He brought players in, he also let players go. Obviously, Moyes spent around, £67 million, at the football club. So a lot of money's been spent at the football club since Alex Ferguson left. Not only that, we've got the highest wage bill in the Premier League, and I do believe we've recruited around 31 players in, or something like that. Somewhere in that range, in the 30-odd range, since Alex Ferguson left. So we have recruited a lot of players in, but on the other hand, a lot of players have left. Around 9 senior players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, and, more players, I do presume, are going to leave Manchester United this summer. I expect around probably 4 or 5 players to depart the club this summer, like I mentioned. We need to get rid of Lingard, Pereira. Probably Chon and Gomez need to be moved on, because their appearances are limited. They're not getting enough opportunities, are Chon and Gomez. I think their current contracts are due to expire at the end of the seasons, are Jesse Lingard's and Chon's. Probably Phil Jones needs to be moved on because, Phil Jones isn't getting enough opportunities. Well, he isn't getting any opportunities, is Phil Jones. And, he's been a long-serving player at Manchester United. So, yeah, we need to move around 4 or 5 players on, definitely. This is what, Manchester United do need to do and that. But, we have got, like I mentioned, a lot of young players in the squad as well that are developing and, trying to improve. Like I mentioned, you've got some of the youngsters that are in their first seasons in the senior squad. Williams is in his first season in the senior squad. Mason Greenwood is in his first season in the senior squad. And Mason Greenwood's been a revelation and he's doing really, really well. And I think he can emulate to Marcus Rashford's level, can Mason Greenwood. Greenwood's on 5 goals in the league this season. I think like 11 or 12 goals in all competitions, in 20 odd first team appearances. And, he started our last 2 league games as Mason Greenwood. He started our last 2 league games, but he seldom starts in the league, does Mason Greenwood. But I've got to say, he's done very, very well. You can play him as the number 9. You can also play Greenwood on the right-hand side. But he's done well. Garner, of course, he's in his first season in the senior squad. I think he's played quite a few Europa League games this season. Obviously, Williams, he's in his first season in the senior squad. Tuan Zebe, I thought the games he played in earlier on the season, he did quite well. Diego Dalot, he did well yesterday, but haven't really got a perception on him. Hasn't really played much at Manchester United. He's sustained quite a few injuries this season, so this is why he hasn't really had his opportunities. But Solskjaer's got a lot of trustworthy in his young players, and that's one of the things I do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for. But since Solskjaer coming anyway, everybody's been given their opportunities, to express themselves like Solskjaer did say he was going to do, which is, very, very good to see. Solskjaer, I think more than likely will be given another full season at Manchester United. Probably deserves another, in hindsight, probably deserves another full season at Manchester United. Solskjaer now has been at Manchester United for 14 months. He has been at the football club over the year. People say, we did make a mistake by giving him the job permanently. We give him it too soon. The main explanation why we're giving the job permanently is reflecting on what he did when he was the interim manager, because he did well in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager. So this is why we give him the job permanently. He did say, if we do get qualification for the Champions League, more than likely Solskjaer will be given another season at Manchester United. If we don't qualify for the Champions League, then possibly we'll be sacked at the end of the season. Obviously, if Solskjaer is to be sacked, I do believe Pochettino or Massimiliano Allegri, one of them will be our next manager. But we haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers, because we've already sacked, 3 managers since the Ferguson era. We sacked David Moyes, we sacked Louis van Gaal, and we sacked Jose Mourinho. So Solskjaer's our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. I think, the disappointing thing is that we didn't get a director of footballing last summer. I said that's one of the structural changes that we need at the football club, but we didn't get that director of footballing. But like I mentioned, yeah, probably will be given another full season at Man United. And of course, if it doesn't work out, then that's when I think, Manchester United, then will get rid of Solskjaer and that, But, take into account the longer Solskjaer is in the job, he's obviously, gaining more experience, like Matic came out and said the other week. Obviously, Ed Woodward laid the foundations for long-term success with Solskjaer. We have the foundations for long-term success with Solskjaer, and he's still determined to back Solskjaer, is, Ed Woodward. Of course, we have got quite a few players in our agenda who I think we're going to go in for in the summer. I think we need to make around 3 or 4 signings in the summer if we are to be, back competitive, and if, we are to be title contenders. If we can get the right players in the summer, then possibly we can challenge going on into next season. Sancho's on our agenda. Kane's on our agenda. Jack Grealish is on our agenda. They're going to cost us a substantial amount for them 3 players, but these still deficiencies in the squad that need to be addressed, definitely in that. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, like, explore on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching. There'll be more videos coming up.